uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom! Well, boys and girls, welcome to the 2025 tier list. Now, if you don't know, I went to China and talked to the devs recently, and they were great. They told me there's going to be a lot of changes to the weapons in 2025, particularly based around the M416, the DBS, the really boring standard meta that everyone seems to be running. So today we're going to look at those tier lists and kind of set them in stone before any real big buffs and nerfs happen. And maybe that way it's a point of reference as we come back. Now, remember, if you like learning about the weapons, the damage, the numbers, all those kinds of things, please subscribe to the channel and like the channel. There's also a patron area if you are a patron of Bushka, and you can go there and play in the live streams with me. We have some lovely stuff on the channel that people don't really realize. There is a spreadsheet there that you can go and check out that has all the numbers for the actual guns in the game, which is pretty freaking cool. And yeah, just that kind of thing. So before we go onwards and upwards, let's talk about the tiers. S tier, top tier, the very, very best, the 1%ers. A tier, good weapon, something you can run all the way through to final circle. B tier, middle of the road. C tier, bad. D tier, absolutely arse. Don't give it to your worst enemy. The way I do this is maybe going to sit a little differently to the way that you look at the guns. That's fine. Let's talk it out, have a conversation. If you don't agree, leave a comment below. And trust me, there will be stuff that you won't agree on. It's probably one of the best things about doing this, really. AKM, for me, that is A tier. Pretty straightforward. AK, just a wonderful weapon in CQC, especially against level 3 armor. 32.4 damage to limbs, like your legs, your arms, which means that when you're wearing level 3 armor and you're taking 20 damage from a normal AR in the chest shots, the AK hits you a couple of times in the leg and it's almost just like getting boomed instant. Good bullet speed. It's been buffed again and again and again and again for no reason that I can really understand, because it's always been pretty solid. The bullet speed is now up to 750 meters a second. It used to be sub 700. It's not amazing for spraying, but you can really do good things, and got one of the best blind sights in game. Scorpion, C tier, good on a hot drop. Good as a switch weapon if you're running like a weird loadout and having a bit of fun, like a shotgun Kar98 kind of thing. Scorpion's actually pretty good. Not as good as the MP7s, I don't think, but it's better for spraying at long range. You can do some crazy things. Fates, I'm talking to you. He's got some wild clips on YouTube of the Scorp going ham. AUG, A tier, outstanding rate of fire. Has been picked at and changed and nerfed and buffed again and again and again and again. 41 base damage, 40.9 on a vest, on a no vest wearing target. A whopping and absolutely wild 779 rounds per minute. That's the same rate of fire as a Graza, and has the same kind of crazy bullet speed, 909 meters you get on most of the 5.56 ARs. Very difficult to argue against it as a solid all-round gun. AWM, straight up to S tier. No arguments. I can't see any arguments here. Single shots, anyone in any kind of helmet, bang. Has 937 meters a second bullet speed, which is absolutely top flight. Way more than your M24s or your Kar98Ks, your Mosin Nagants and such, which are 810 to 789. And as we know, bullet speed means more accurate. The faster the round gets there, the less you have to lead a target, the more impactful you are in the game. It's also a very, very good weapon in that you get 20 rounds plus the 5 in the gun when you get it out of the drop, which is a problem for the AMR. I think if you're arguing against the AWM being in S tier, then we're going to have very, very different views on what the game is like. Barrel M762. Once upon a time, I would have had an A, very, very good. I'm going to put it in B for now. It's middle of the road. The gun has suffered a lot. Some of it was not really its fault, but it was Pubg Mobile originally. There was a big problem with 90 frames per second when it first came out, and the M416 and the Barrel M762 both got a buff to rate of fire for the longest time. It was like a year or something. It was crazy if you ran 90 frames per second using these guns. So it was insanely good. Once that was fixed, it's in a really crowded space competing with the Ace-32, the Honey Badger, and the AKM, and it just doesn't have, it's like a solid gun, but it's not like one that you would put above an AKM, for instance, but some people do. DBS, I want to put it here in D tier for dickhead because it is the dickhead barreled shotgun. Unfortunately, we all know it's absolute bullshit, and it's somewhere between S and A. I mean, if I had to put it anywhere, oh, it's an S tier. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. It's got 2 shots per round, like an over-under. It has full auto fire, like an S12K. It has 14 and can reload like a pump action shotgun while it's on the move. It gets everything that all the other shotguns get as gimmicks just for themselves and puts it in one weapon. I would bet that that is going to get nerfed in the near future, but until it does, welcome to the dickhead barreled shotgun. The Desert Eagle, it's a D. Like, if you get a headshot, congratulations, you've won the headshot lottery, but it's slow rate of fire, big kick on the animation, not to be good. I mean, flare gun, it's an S tier. I don't really think it should be here, but I'll put everything in here. So it's S tier, right? Good job, flare gun. Gives you 2 gears and 2 weapons and full level 3 gear. Although I hope for your sake that weapon is a FAMAS. The G36C right here, nearly here in fact, but it's incredible. All the same stats as an M416 basically, but really weird recoil. The G36C, like the M4, 638 rounds a minute, 40.9 base damage, 909 meters a second bullet speed, all excellent, but it has recoil that only goes vertically. If you put a vertical foregrip on that or an ergonomic grip on the G36C, it's basically, once you get the sensitivity right, it has so little horizontal recoil that it is capable of insane sprays. The only thing holding it back from S tier, I think, is that it's only available on a couple of maps and that I really don't love the spray meta. Honey Badger, I'm going to give it a B. It actually can be, and I've run it many times over the last month, it can be devastating. The problem is, like the G36C, the Honey Badger has huge vertical recoil, only unlike the G36C, it gets more horizontal recoil as well. And the animation kick is so high. And the animation kick, if you're wondering what that is, it's when you fire the weapon for the first time, it's how high that weapon goes up before it returns back to its aim point. And the Honey Badger's got a hell of an animation kick. It means that it's really suitable for CQC and nothing else. If you're using the Badger at range, you're going to run up against a couple of things. One is that horrific animation kick, which is obviously a problem. The other one is the fact that its bullet speed is absolutely horrific. 666 meters a second. That is the lowest bullet speed of any AR in Pubg Mobile. Really small. The crossbow. Is this the crossbow or the flaming crossbow? Have I got the flaming crossbow in here? I don't think I do. If this was the flaming crossbow, it would be S tier. Anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, the flaming crossbow and the crossbow bear cosmetic resemblance only. The flaming crossbow is like an AWM. It fires bolts that set people on fire like a Molotov, and it has no bullet drop. It's literally got like bolt action bullet speed. It is a bolt action weapon that silent fires. Like, it's nuts. If it's a normal crossbow, it's down here in D tier, which is what we're going to assume. It's EP28. Such a specialist kind of guy. If you love this, it's B tier, A tier. I'm going to leave it in B. Unlike, say, the G36C or the AUG or the AKM, you can't really run this as a secondary. The AKM is all about primary. The AUG and the G36C double both as primaries and as secondary weapons. The DP28 is terrible as a primary, and it's great as a secondary, I find, in situations where you don't have to hit traversing targets. Like the Honey Badger, it's got horrible bullet speed. 609 meters a second. In fact, it's got worse bullet speed than the Honey Badger. And that means when you're trying to hit people in cars, if they're not coming towards you, then it's very difficult to be effective. Now, if they're coming towards you, it has no recoil and you're going to put massive damage into them. It also has a low headshot multiplier and bigger damage drop off over distance than it really should have. For me, love the gun, use it a lot, but I think it's more of a meme than a hero. I'm going to have it in the middle of the road. It's okay. Now, again, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not super duper. Graza. I'm going to put it in A tier. It's the closest to S tier of any of these guys here. It's very close. The problem is, oh, jeez, that's a tough call. The Grazas, for me, got one big issue. It's horrible in hip fire. And it's a CQC weapon that's horrible in hip fire and doesn't have the crazy limb damage like an AK does. So when you miss a shot with the Graza and you're hitting limbs, you're not doing big numbers. 21.6 is your limb damage numbers. You miss a shot with the AK, you're doing 32.4. That's 30% more damage on an arm or a leg shot than you do with the Graza, and that's a lot of damage. It's offset by the fact that fires 779 rounds a second and has a 47.9 base damage rip. The AK's is 47.9, but only 625 rounds a second. I just feel that the recoil coupled with its complete, I don't know, inability to mount any kind of lower rail attachment or even a compensator to help with that recoil means it's such a specialized kind of ADS or super close quarters CQC weapon. It's one of those things where I think a gun like the AK actually does a little bit better in those situations because it's got a slower, more methodical rate of fire. If you're looking for high ceilings and high level outcomes, you're more likely to get them with the Graza, but your floor is also way down as well. So I'm going to leave it there in the A tier. Car 98, as much as I love the Car 9, it's C tier. I use this over pretty much any of these guns, or pretty much the DBS, but it's a great bolt action rifle. But if you're talking bolt action rifles, you're dealing in a tier where you're competing against AWMs, AMRs, M24s, DSRs, Mosin Nagants. I mean, if we're being honest, that's the car isn't going to beat those guns. It's been buffed again and again and again. All the bolt action rifles have. So many shots its bullet speed is now up to nearly 800 meters a second, but that's under the M24. It's under the Mosin Nagants. It's under the DSRs. It's under the AWMs, and it's under by miles. Like, it's under by 400 bloody meters a second, the AMR. It does have the ability to crank shots pretty hard. 6.38 rounds is 8 seconds to fire the whole lot. 1.26 seconds per round, which is very, very quick, but no quicker than M24, right? So, yeah, I love the Car 98. I've got a lot of Car 98 stuff. It's just not there.
That's gonna leave a mark, buddy.
M16. Oh, look. I feel I have to talk a little bit more about this Car 98. For me, fuck it, put it in B. I love it. I just love it too much. I love it too much. I can't help it. I love this gun. It's the gun that I use probably the most as a sniper because it's the most common. But if you're talking about snipers, there's a lot that are better than it. M16, C tier. Can actually be really effective as a fake DMR. And if you put a full auto mod on it, you can spray with it if you're running thumbs, which is great. But, I mean, its burst mode is useless. Absolutely useless. It was once upon a time when the game first started, this was unnerfed and you could fire the burst mode through an 8x lying down at range and you'd actually hit 2 or 3 of the shots out of the 3. They nerfed that pretty quick. with good reason. M24, middle of the road again. You can take these all the way to final circle, these guns, if you want. They're just not the best at what they do. M24 is better than the Kar 98. I mean, it is better. I got to put the Kar 9 down. Got to put the Kar 9 down again. M24, so it does more damage, has better bullet speed. They might not be the biggest numbers, but 109.1 is your base vest damage with a Kar 9. With a M24, 102.6 is your base damage with a Kar 98K. Yeah, both of them are going to clear level 2 helmets, and you're hitting those break points nicely, but the M24 is going to take nearly 95 damage into a level 3 helmet, and the Kar 98K is going to do 88.65. So 810 meters a second versus 789, lower base damage, slightly slower bolt action. You can work the bolt action. I think it's 1.25, 1.26 for the Kar 98, 1.24 seconds per round for the M24. And you can put an extended quick draw mag on it to make that a faster reloading deal as well. So M24, better than the Kar 98K. M249, middle of the road. Like, good God. I know there's people out there who think that thing is the bee's knees. It's not. Don't fall for the hype, guys. It's been buffed. It does 27 base damage to a limb now, but its recoil is still arse for spraying, and in terms of CQC, it's all right. It's like a Scarrel without the ability to spray. Yeah, middle of the road, mid, totally mid. M416 up here with the Graza, the G36C, the AUG. It's the G36C, but with a slightly lighter recoil. I mean, what do you need to know about the M4? It's the most boring vanilla gorilla there is. It ruins the game because it allows everyone to just run these ridiculous freaking M416 plus UMP, M416 plus DBS. Most boring loadouts in the game. And it's something that Pubg Mobile are also fixated upon. They know that these loadouts are killing variety. And that's because this gun is just so easy. It's a noob cannon. It's the absolute noob cannon. PC changed things. I'd love to see them lower damage over distance to make this thing less effective at spraying, making people actually run guns that are good at range. But I don't know. Machete, D tier. Don't need anything. Mini 14 is our next S tier weapon. If you don't know why the Mini 14 is an S tier weapon, pay attention. The base damage on the Mini 14 is 53.9. Okay, the base damage on the SKS is 57.7. The base damage on the Mark 14 is 61. So your massive damage, right? 53.9 is massive, and your headshot damage is 105 base. An M416, for instance, headshot damage is 94, I think it is, 96.5. You do more headshot damage, you can fast tap it, it has 1,000 meters a second bullet speed, which is ridiculous. And the thing has no recoil, no recoil. You can double tap, triple tap this thing so fast, you'll beat sprayers. Like, I do it time and time and time and time again. And it's one of the best weapons for a duo versus squad. Dingling and I run it all the time. One of us will run mini, one of us will run a bolt action. Someone finds an AWM, the other one will pick up a mini. You'll hit someone with a bolt action rifle and you can rip another 2 or 3 rounds downrange before they get a chance to get to cover with the Mini 14. Any of them touched it, boom, dead, gone. It's a great secondary spot weapon and everyone runs 5. So as you progress through to the end of the game, it really doesn't have any troubles picking up ammo and finding the way forward. P18C and the P92, both down here in the D level. I mean, they're not special as pistols go. The Pan as well, nothing special there. I'm going to put the revolver here. Now, why? I'll tell you why. This is one of the most fun things you can do. Find a revolver, find a silencer, crawl around in the grass and shoot at people with it. It sounds literally like click, 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 click. That's all you hear. No one has any idea where the shots are coming from. Is it good? Hell, it's terrible. but you can headshot. I've sniped people at 200 meters with that thing. It has the craziest headshot damage. Where are we? The R1895 will do 93.8 damage to a level 1 helmet. 93.8, 134.1 base headshot damage. Think of that next time you think of the revolver. This thing also, I think it's the R45 that has the weird 62 base damage to limbs, which is just effing weird and crazy. It also does 136 base damage to heads, which is more than the revolver, but you can't put that suppressor on it and have fun. S12K, I'm going to put that in A. As shotguns go, it's absolutely plausible to run the S12K with an extended mag and a duckbill. You should always run the duckbill on it, but if you want to have fun, put a suppressor on it and let the fart gun go to work. Massive damage, full auto, 10 rounds in the clip, works a treat. I'll run it before I run the DBS, just because on general principle, I think the DBS is a gun for dickheads. The pump action shotgun, middle of the road, same with the over-under. I'd take the over-under out of the two just because it's more fun, that dung-dung, dung-dung. But you could get a DBS and then you could just run the dung-dung as well as the reloading while running around of the pump action shotgun, the rolling reload, and the full auto of the S12K. All those three guns there, wrapped up in that gun there. This gun here, the over-under, of the Snorlax. Terrible gun. Just terrible. Don't use it. Give it to your mates if you want to laugh at them. The Scar-L, I'm going to put that at A tier as well. Super reliable. Can spray a little bit. Not as good as the M4 and the G36C. Probably a touch better than the AUG, but again, nothing spectacular. But is an absolute stone cold killer with a red dot straight down range. Love it to bits. And some of the best skins in the game too for the Scar-L. Good bullet speed, 638 rounds a minute, slightly higher base damage than the M416, that's 40.9, the Scar is 42, but that means that you've got the 909 meters a second bullet speed and you fire a little quicker, which means you hit your break points harder. For instance, what do I mean by that? If they're wearing a level 2 vest, an M416 will do 24.54 damage to a level 2 vest, a Scar-L will do 25.2. 4 shots to clear with a Scar-L, 5 shots to clear with an M416 or a QBZ95, oh sorry, or a G36C, etc. They're tiny little things, but when you're looking for percentage points, it means the Scar-L is a better primary slot AR than the M416 is, because you're going to be better in CQC, better at that like 30 to 40 meter ADS range in terms of clearing targets. SKS, probably a B. Great gun, a lot of fun. You can't fire as fast as the Mini, and you only do slightly more damage and you have lower bullet speed. It's been buffed and buffed and buffed again. The SKS is up to 57.7. It was originally around 53.9 where the Mini is, and it's now got 937 meters a second where it was originally around about 800 or 797. But for all that, I mean, you get 10 rounds base, you got to find an extender mag to make it work, and then a vertical foregrip and a compensator for sniper. Like, you can make it work. It's nearly an A tier, but for me, B tier. There's just so many options that'll serve you better. This is the SLR. Don't use this gun. The worst animation kick of any of them, it just goes so high up in the air when you fire it. You can't like tap fire it really, really fast. It's actually better in CQC than for sniping, I find. Because it does have a very high base damage round, which means you can do good things. The SLR, 58 base damage, which is higher than a Scar, higher than a SKS, higher than a Mini 14, nearly as high as a Mark 14, but the recoil is just horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Tommy gun, B tier. What's good about the Tommy gun? Well, it's the hardest hitting SMG in the game, so it's very strong in that respect. 43 base, the same. The UMP is 42.8 base, which is not much. It's 0.2 of around there. But what the Tommy gun really has going for it is high limb damage and a lot of rounds. Two things that I don't don't like about it. You can't mount a laser sight on it. And not mounting a laser sight means that you cannot actually improve the hip fire. And if I'm running SMG, I'm running it because I'm using it as a CQC weapon that can hip fire. The Tommy gun's great, but its hip fire is not the best of the SMGs. And if you're running an SMG for anything other than hip fire, it can be a struggle. Where it goes really, really well, when you've got multiple targets on a push and you don't have to reload because you've got 50 in the clip. Like, it's just, it can clear 3 targets in a row pretty easily. I've done it the other day, actually. I did it in a drive-by with McDingling. It's just a great gun. Great gun, but again, I don't think it's the top cut. Vector, yes. Vector is wild. This is like the most slept on SMG in PUBG Mobile. I use this all the time and it is a home wrecker. It's the right blend of rate of fire and rounds. So the Uzi is incredible, but the Vector, so Uzi is 26.2, Vector is 32.9, okay? So you've got a rate of fire of 1,154 rounds a minute. That's so quick, so quick. But when I'm using an Uzi, I sometimes feel like, especially at a target that's at 20 or 30 meters away, it goes too fast. The Vector's just the right blend. High limb damage, explosive damage, PUBG Mobile call it. The ability to mount a tac stock, a lower rail attachment, meaning you can put a laser scope on it, laser sight on it, improving the hip fire, and a compensator. Suddenly you're looking at a gun that can do a whole lot of things. I will say, worst gun in the world in a hot drop, because you get 19 rounds. You used to get 13 rounds, but you get 19 rounds with it, which means it's so easy to run out of ammo. So you really, like a lot of guns, like some guns, it scales up with the equipment, like an SKS, but it already starts like an extended quick draw mag, and you are cooking with gas. VSS down here, if it's just for solos, it can actually be up here. It's broken in solos. If you're playing solos and you want to just be a sweaty grub, you can crawl around with a VSS and just third party everything and lie down in the grass, sit behind rocks on the edge of circle, run like a primary Vector or an Uzi or a Bison or something, and just farm damage. But if you're playing in a squad, the stealth factor gets negated. Like your mate next to you is firing an M416 with a compensator on it, so everyone sees the muzzle flash and everyone hears the gun, meaning that your VSS stealth is negated. There's not much there for you. It's hard to use at range, and the sight takes experience to know how to use it. I've got a whole bunch of videos on the VSS. Go and check them out. It'll explain it. Solos can be S tier, but B tier for the main game. Ace 32, a late call up for me. I think it's better than the Beryl and better than the Honey Badger. It's been spanking for me lately. The ADS red dot on the Ace 32 has been an absolute treat. They've buffed it and they've upped it across the board a little bit, and I've just found the Ace 32 has been one of the more unsung heroes for me over the past month. 769 rounds per minute is awfully fast, right? Your Beryl M762 is 638 rounds a minute, 45.9. Ace 32 is 45 base. Yeah, I just love the Ace right now. It's doing really, really good things. Don't miss out. It's bullet speed's ass. Be careful about that. If you're going for bullet speed, the Ace 32 may not be your cup of tea, 714 meters a second. So it's not good for spraying, but it's awfully good for that CQC short range ADS game. AMR, I want to put it in S tier, but you only get 10 rounds. Like, I've had some unbelievable snipes with this gun, and you can clear cars, and it's such a value add. But late game, if you've run it to any degree, you'll know how frustrating it can be when you run out of ammo and suddenly you've only got one gun. It is literally being held back by the amount of ammo you get with it on the drop. If you had the same amount of rounds as an AWM, this thing is godlike. 1200 meters a second is the fastest bullet speed in game. It's like a laser beam. It's literally you point and click and the bullet goes exactly there. Even if they're in a car, like you've got to lead it by a millimeter. The fact that you can headshot people behind vehicles or clear vehicles really, really quickly, super strong. MG3, ooh. Yeah, that's S tier. It's broken. It's so good as a primary weapon. And you can actually use it as a secondary weapon as well. Done plenty of sprays with a 2x, surprisingly. 2x and red dot are my best result sprays with the MG3. A lot of people don't use the switch, so you don't run it at 660 meters a second. But if you switch it down to 660 meters a second, you can just draw beautiful lines with this thing. Super high rate of fire, incredible rate of fire. The MG3 whacks out 1,017 rounds per minute on a 40 base damage gun, which, if you're wondering, is pretty wild. That's like an M416 running 1,000 rounds a minute. Very difficult to run as a secondary slot weapon with a sniper or something, as a primary slot weapon when you're running sniper, because you need such a reload. And if you're in a squad, the reload can kill you. But man, is it worth it. Mark 14, S tier, easy S tier. A lot of people I don't understand. I spray with this thing all the time. Like I spray with this thing all the time. I fully 6x'd a guy on stream the other day while using the Mark 14 at like 40 meters. We just bang straight in. I've 8x'd people on full sprays with this a bunch of times. It's incredible damage, incredible damage. 61 base damage, the most damaging DMR in the game, with the same rate of fire as an M416, meaning it's the only gun in the game on full auto that will go under 0.2 seconds to clear a level 2 vest. 0.19 with the Mark 14. Just in case you're interested, the Raza, for instance, is 0.231. When it hits, amazing. If you don't have an extended magazine for it, you could be in quite a big bit of trouble. Works really well with a DP28 or an MG3 in the second slot. Again, leans heavily into the 7.62 meta, but don't make a mistake. This is a hell of a gun. Mosing the gun. Down here with the Car9. Yeah, I don't know why. It does the same damage. It's the same damage as a Car9, right? It's about the same bullet speed, slightly higher bullet speed, same headshot damage, but it actually slower rate of fire than the Car98K. It takes longer to rip that bolt through. So the slight damage increase, now the slight bullet speed increase doesn't do enough for me to move it up to be with the M24. P90 is absolutely godlike. God gun. The god gun. The most frustrating gun to play against. Tell me if this sounds like a P90 engagement. You're fighting a guy with a P90, you pull back into cover, a second later you fall over dead. I don't know why it does it. It does it to me all the time. I will be running. It is the most desync laden son of a bitch you're going to fight against. It has crazy bullet speed for a freaking MG3, for an SMG. Like, you're talking about, where's that bullet speed? Sorry, not bullet speed, crazy rate of fire. 360 meters a second is your bullet speed. No, it's 770. Yeah, it is. The old P90 was 360 before they released it. That was on testing, I believe. P90 is 770 meters a second bullet speed. Faster than some ARs, 35 base damage, and a whopping 1,024 rounds a minute. Like, kills it in hip fire, kills it in ADS, just kills it. Like, we all know. Winchester down here. Another one of those really, really fun guns. Really fun. FAMAS down here. I'm tempted to put it here with the pistols. Worst iron sight in Pubg Mobile. It's just a tiny, tiny, tiny hole in a big block of metal that covers your entire screen. Has no ability to mount a extended AR mag, meaning that you can't improve the ammo loadout, which is effing crazy. It has high vertical recoil, but crazy bullet speed, 1,100 meters a second bullet speed. So it's like, it's perfectly suited to spraying, but it fires so fast, 968 rounds a minute with a 39 base damage round, that when you try and spray, it's like trying to spray with an Uzi. It fires the round so quick that you don't have time to really lead the target. So if you don't get it right the first time, that's it, you missed. And that can be really frustrating. That, and that it's a CQC weapon that has horrific hip fire. The hip fire is so bad. So yeah. Mark 12, middle of the road. This is the old pre-buff Mini 14. That's exactly what this gun is. It's the Mini 14 as it was before all the buffs hit. Like, the Mark 12 has 47 base damage. That's what the Mini 14 used to have. It has worse bullet speed though, 810 meters a second. So just an absolutely dog average weapon. I wouldn't use it. Mark 47 Mutant down here. I've won a lot of games with this gun. I love running this gun. It's so much fun. It's one of those guns where when you use it and it works, it's amazing, because you're basically double tapping an AKM round. So if you start at 0 and you press the button once, the first round of an AK is doing 47.9 to a headshot. That thing's going to do double 47.9 if you hit them. So the longer you're firing it, the worse it is. But in terms of pure impact, 2 AKM rounds to start the gun, bang. If you hit them both in the chest, you are so far on the way to having a winner. Of course, it's hard to do, but that's why it's a lot of fun. MP5K, wonderful gun, but for me, not good enough to move up to the A tier with the Vector. I don't know why. I just don't seem to do as well with the MP5K as I do with the Vector, even though they are basically pretty freaking similar. Vector is 32.4. 32.9, MP5K is 34.4, a little fast, a little heavier hitting, but a lot slower on your rounds per minute, 938 versus 1154. Your time to kill is slightly higher as well, and your bullet speed is exactly the same, 384 meters a second. So no good for doing a whole lot of anything apart from CQC or vertical targets running into you, so you don't have to lead and traverse. I just think I prefer the Vector's faster rate of fire, but again, very, very good gun that could nearly go up here to A, but I'm going to stick with my guns and stay B. Uzi is up here as A, pure CQC, far less versatile than the Vector, pure CQC, awesome on a hot drop. The longer the game goes, the tougher it is for the Uzi, because as you get up to heavier and heavier armor sets, it's doing 14 damage into a level 2 vest, 15.72 in a level 2 vest. Into a level 3 vest, it does 11.79 damage. That means you got to hit a lot of shots. And when you're pre-firing on a gun that's got 35 in the clip and fires at an incredibly quick 1,304 rounds per minute, then you can be left holding your wang in your hand on the reload if you're running anything other than an M416 in your second slot. So for that, I'd have the Vector over it, but I still think it's grand to use up the top. NS2000, terrible gun, terrible gun. Doubles as a sniper and switches between slugs and shotgun shells. The problem being that it doesn't do enough damage as a sniper, and the shotgun shells it's not great. So I'd have it down here because it's one of those guns that's like trying to be versatile, but actually not as good. Oh, you know, it's probably as good. It's as good as the pumpy in the over under. So I've got to have it in the middle. Got to have it in the middle. It's also only on Noosa. Anyway, Colt down here, Bison up here. As underrated as the Vector, incredibly good hip fire, like just behind the Uzi in terms of hip fire, and that's crazy. But 53 in the clip, meaning you don't have to reload like with a Tommy gun. You can put a compensator on it, which will actually help with your recoil, unlike the Tommy gun. You can mount 6Xs, 3Xs, 2Xs on it, so you can spray at range. Hell, you can put a suppressor on this and use it like a ghetto VSS at range, and people have no idea what's happening. It's a lot of fun. You can run it with a VSS, an Uzi, or a Vector, and it works across all those kind of guns. It creates a versatile environment. Really incredible. 53 rounds, a heavy hitting SMG for what it's worth. Your Tommy's at 43, your Bison's at 38.8. Easily the biggest damaging 9mm gun in the game as an SMG. QBU up here. QBU is the same as a Mini. QBU is the same as a Mini. Like, I feel like it's got even better recoil than a Mini, which is insane. Absolutely insane. But, I mean, it does slightly less damage. 57.7 versus 54.8, I think it is. But where's the spreadsheet? QBU 54.8, but 937 meters a second bullet speed. Like, I used to run double QBU on Sanok and have a giggle. It was great fun. Incredible gun. Looks great. Sounds great. Should be run more often. I wish it was on more maps. QBZ95. Look, it's a copy of a SCAR-L that has slightly worse reload. The SCAR-L was slightly worse reload. I mean, it's between A and B. It's only gets a bad rap because it's not as good as a SCAR-L. Like, I don't know what to tell you. There's not a lot of difference. You can spray with it. You can do everything with it. It just, I don't know. UMP, I'm going to put it here. I don't think it's as good as a P90 or any of these guns up here, but it's incredible. Obviously, it's so popular for a reason. You use a UMP, you can hip fire like an absolute god. You can stick a laser sight on it. You can put a compensator on it. You can put a 3X and a cannon sight on it, and you'll do all kinds of nasty things. Great in CQC, sneaky good as a spray weapon because the thing just is broken, has got no recoil. If you don't like the UMP, I don't know what's wrong with you. Where are we? Moving on. The XM 1014. I'd prefer that. I would legitimately take this over a DBS. It's the only shotgun in the game, and I talked to the devs about this, and they said they were going to look at it. When you ADS with the 1014, the spread gets tighter. Like it improves in accuracy when you ADS. So you can legitimately use this at longer ranges than the other shotguns. It's also got no recoil. For a shotgun, that is. It's got bugger all recoil or kick for a shotgun. So you can hip fire this thing, and it's so solid. It's such a gorgeous gun. I would love to see them replace the DBS with this on all maps. It's a much better shotgun, but I mean, it's just as broken. The knife, D tier. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think it was about time we did another one. Make sure you look after yourselves. Stay safe on the battlefield. Like the videos and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Au revoir, amigos, and bye for now.